Here we have what will end up being a very tasty, very healthy shake. And what you're looking at is the ingredients that will become the shake. I can bet you've probably never tried a shake quite like this one. So here we go. I'm going to do it live, step by step. So follow along. First, I start with my Ninja blender. I put a little bit of water in it. Okay, so the first thing, the very first ingredient that I like to use is chia seeds. I keep mine in a jar in the refrigerator, and I put about a tablespoon. Very first thing, I put it in the water. Chia seeds become kind of a gel when they're introduced to water, so I like to give it as much time as possible to do its thing. Second thing is going to be flax seeds. I also keep those in a jar in the refrigerator. You don't necessarily have to put them in first, but I do just because that's the way I do it. You can do this however you like. The beauty of all of this is you can add whatever ingredients you like. You can disregard any ingredients you don't like, and you don't have to do it in the same order as I am. The next thing I like to do is I put in some turmeric root, and I just take out one piece, which is about that big, which is, I don't know, what's almost the size of my baby finger, about 3/4. Just drop it in there. Then I add pomegranate seeds, which I pretty much use for everything every day. Another thing is you don't have to worry about how much or how little you put in. You just use what you have. And if you don't have it, I guess you can always go out and buy it. The next thing is a piece of ginger root. You can buy, ginger powder if you like, but I like to use, this is organic by the way, organic ginger root. And the same with the turmeric, that was organic as well. I try to do everything organic when possible. Now here's an option, cayenne pepper. I'm really not one for hot spicy foods or drinks or anything, but I'm told, from what I've read, there's quite a bit of health benefit to cayenne pepper. So I'm going to spice it up a little bit. You can do this or you can not, and it still comes out good. As for the sweetener, I use a cinnamon stick. This is one of the sweeteners I use. I don't add any sugar or anything sweet other than the food that's going to end up in here. So the cinnamon stick gets dropped in there. And in no particular order, I add the rest of these things. I've got 1/4 of a lime here. If I had lemons, I'd be using lemons, but I don't have lemons today, I have limes. So I'm going to put a whole lime in there, 1/4 at a time. I just think it's easier to grind up that way. I also have part of a red bell pepper, and I do specifically say red. Red is the most healthy, or the healthiest of the bell peppers. At least that's what I've read. So I cut the top off. You can use as much or as little as you like, but I'm just going to cut the top off, throw it in as is. And just for the heck of it, I've got mushrooms, so I'm going to put a couple mushrooms in there. I've got radishes, so I've got 3 of them ready to go here today. So I just throw them in Another staple that I have for just about everything, or every day I should say, is blueberries. These are organic blueberries. I like to use them with pomegranate seeds almost every day, some way, in something that I eat. So I just have a generous handful, drop them in there. And from there, I'm going to start putting in some of the greens. Now this is kind of a wilted piece of beet leaves, so I'm going to use it up while it's still somewhat good. That's the other thing. I use up whatever, whatever isn't going to last in my refrigerator. I just go through it and clean it out. Now I've got a beet, an organic beet. This is uncooked. You can either steam it to make it softer, or you can put it in uncooked, which is what I'm going to do this time. This is a piece of rainbow chard. Chard, I never really knew how to pronounce that, but it's also organic. A very large piece, just break it up, kind of stuff it in there. Another piece of the beet leaf. We also have a very large piece of collard green. I've never seen them quite so big, but that's what they had when I went shopping. So I usually put one good sized piece, but you don't have to put a whole piece. You can put more than one if you like. As I said, there's a lot of flexibility here. Okay. Another thing, this is dandelion, which actually grows wild everywhere. You can actually pick this probably in your backyard or your driveway or whatever, and it's actually very good for you, but I buy mine at the store. It's not that expensive. I buy organic. Like I said, I try to buy everything organic. And next, I use sugar plum tomatoes. These are organic. I'm going to use a few, not too many, but it gives a little bit of weight to the green stuff I just put in there. So I'm going to top off the top here with some green tomatoes. There's what, 6 of them in there, but you don't have to use them at all. You can use as many as you like. You just do this the way you like. You modify it to your own personal taste. And then the last green that I add is some organic baby spinach. I just take a handful of it and kind of push it in there. So everything that I've added so far is optional. I have my preferences, I'm sure you have yours, but it's more about how you do it than what you're putting in. So I'm going to cap it, lock it, and I'm going to turn it on low. I have a 3-speed here, so I'm going to start it on low. First I got to turn the power on, and here we go. Oops. Looks like I've got too much something binding there. So let's try that again. Okay, so as you can see, a lot of the things that are on the bottom have been liquefied, but a lot of the things on the top are still sitting on the top. So I'm going to, with some of the other ingredients, I have a piece of celery here. I'm just going to kind of force it in through the top and push everything down. And I usually do this with the motor running, but since I'm talking to you, I wanted to show you how I do it. So now that's forced in there. I'm going to turn it back on for a little bit, and I'm going to continue to add some other things. I have a complete cucumber, which I've made spears, which I'm going to add, which will also help push everything down. I also have a carrot that I've broken in half, which the carrot and the banana will also be sweeteners. There's a lot of sugar in both the banana and the carrot, but it also gives it a little bit of weight. So here we go. Okay, so there's still a lot of things sitting on the top. We need to give it a little bit of weight. Take the top off, push everything down a little bit. And here's something you probably haven't seen before, but you've seen an avocado. I've cut it in half. I'm leaving the seed in, pit, whatever you want to call it, and I'm pushing the whole thing in there. And I'm going to grind that up in the mix as well. Okay, I also need to turn, I have 2 more speeds, so now that it's starting to really blend, I'm going to turn the speed up, which will pull the rest of that stuff down. So I'm going to start with low, and then I go all the way up to high a little at a time. Okay, as you can see now, I have a pretty much total red mixture. There's a little bit of green that remained on the top that didn't get ground up yet, but that's okay. That's why I'm taking the top off. I want to make sure it's all done at the end of the day, or the end of the mix anyway. But here's something that you probably never seen before as well, which I really think is pretty cool. I like to use either whole milk, or of course I use organic. In this case I'm going to use some whole milk plain yogurt, and I'm going to actually scrape the top. Why throw it away when it can go into the mix? I just scrape it off with a knife here and enter it into the mix, and then I just dump, I don't know how much that is. I like the stuff, it's very good for you, so I want to turn my red mix into more of a pink mix. And then the very last thing that's going to go in there is a raw egg. Now, some people say that's not good. I've been doing this for many years, never had a problem. The thing about raw eggs that you need to understand is you don't want to let them sit. If you're going to use a raw egg, you need to eat it up quickly. So this is going to go down the hatch as soon as I'm done, so I don't give it a chance to develop whatever it develops that's going to be a problem. So I've never had a problem with it. But again, if you don't want to put an egg in there, don't put an egg in. No problem. Here we go. This is the last mix. I'm going to go through, start on low, go up to medium, up to high, back down to medium, down to low, and then it's time to enjoy. Okay, we are done, so let's enjoy. What we have here is some 2 pieces of toast with my homemade nut butter that involves peanuts, cashews, walnuts, almonds, ginger, cinnamon, and some Turkish figs. This is some of the best nut butter you'll ever try. Very tasty. It's important to not make meals out of liquid only, so I like to have a little solid food with it. I'm also going to enjoy an orange, and folks, you are looking at my breakfast. So I'm going to open up the mix here. It's pretty thick. It's very thick, but it's still liquefied, so I can drink it, or I could spoon it if I like. I basically just drink it. So it's time to enjoy. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you make some of your own and that you enjoyed as well. Let me know what you think about this video, and you can visit me on healthyseniorcitizen.com and mixednutbutter.com. Have a good day.